All right, thanks for joining us. We are the Fantasy Lunch Bunch. This is our second episode. Thanks for joining us after Week 17. Kicking it off right away to Money Mike, giving us the scores of last week. Go ahead, Money Mike.
Just to recap, Dolphins beat the Patriots 20-10 at home. The Falcons fell at home to the Saints 2017. The Bears lost once again at Soldier Field 24-10. 24-20, excuse me, to the Lions.
Barbarian there.
The Eagles beat the Giants in Tom Coughlin's last game as a Giants head coach 35-30. The Colts barely beat the Titans at home 30-24. The Texans handled the Jaguars pretty well 30-6. The Ravens lost to the Bengals 24-16. The Chiefs took care of business at home against the Raiders 23-17. The Broncos, in what ended up being a wild game and a little bit of a shootout-ish in the second
Manning
half.
Is back in the house.
Yes, he is.
He's alive still?
Over.
Yep.
27-20 over the Chargers at Mile High.
Which they had to win to seal the bye for the playoffs.
Yes.
Big game for the Chiefs because it was, or for the Broncos because if they lost, the Chiefs would have sealed the bye, I believe.
They would have won the division.
Or sorry, yes, the Chiefs would have won the division. Yes. Yeah. So big win for Denver, definitely. Peyton Manning coming in, 40 years old.
It up.
Yep, Osweiler's not playing well. Had 3 interceptions, I believe, 2 in the third quarter. So they
had a couple of fumbles as well. Too.
Yeah, they mentioned him.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Peyton Manning's back, and that's definitely a big story. Is if that guy is going to start for the Broncos, since they do have their first round bye in the playoffs.
It's probably a good idea. I'm not going to lie.
He's been eating a lot of pizza in the offseason.
Yeah,
Lots
the
of
Papa
pizza.
John's.
Oh, yeah.
Better pizza, better football. Yeah.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah. So that's a good, interesting topic. We can run around the horn really fast. And should Peyton Manning be starting for the Broncos or should it be Osweiler? We'll go to Money Mike and let him explain why and why not.
Well, it's kind of tough to say right now. I mean, you look at when Manning came in, they obviously took off offensively, started to play a lot better. They were turning the ball over constantly. But at the same time, it's, when you make a change like that to your offense, bringing in Manning, it kind of sparks a little bit of energy within the rest of the team that might not carry over into the playoffs. So I think you might want to stick with Osweiler here and look for the future.
Absolutely, I agree. And with Manning, you're always, that you're walking up with the guy who knows the most about offense and football and knows what the defense is going to do, but physically, is he able to do it? And that's the biggest question for the Broncos every week is, do we start Osweiler, who's the young gun, who's learning from Peyton Manning, or do we start Peyton Manning, who knows these things and might throw out a hit or trying to throw the ball as hard as he can? So
it's a tough time of the year, too. You want to win.
Absolutely. Yep.
And Peyton Manning,
best time to do
after the game himself, said, you can't give me credit for handing the ball off.
Absolutely, right. Now, to give Peyton Manning credit, he comes in and you can't argue that the guy makes impacts because he comes in and they score 3 scores right in a row, 3 drives in a row. Manning's in, and they hadn't done anything with Osweiler that game. So there's no question on the impact that he has in the huddle and overall the impact that he has for the team. But it's definitely going to be interesting if they continue to ride with Manning in the playoffs. Bunting, Stretch, what do you think?
I think it's a tough call. He's a smart player. Man, their defense is so good. I mean, you don't want to rely on the defense.
But it is what's carried Manning through
exactly
the wins that he has had this season.
It might be nice to give him a break, though. So,
right.
It's been carrying the team, but as far as the future, do you risk it now with Osweiler, or do you start with Manning and see what happens? Toss-up. Give me a coin.
Absolutely, right. 50-50 almost. And, when you have the number one defense for passing yards and yards per game, it's going to be easier to win games even if you can't put up the points because the defense is doing it for you. And that's really what saved Manning throughout the start of the season is his defense because the Broncos started off undefeated. I want to say till 6 weeks or so.
That sounds about right. Yeah.
So
what he needs to do is do a Dalton, throw a pick, get injured. There's the decision. Now you just have Osweiler because he makes the tackle.
Yeah, so again, big decisions for the Broncos. They have a whole week to decide, which is nice, and figure out if Manning's ready to go or if Osweiler's going to take the reins and start for that team. J-String, you have anything to add for the...
Yeah, I really think Peyton Manning. Why? Because it's the huddle, and then also on the field, he's going to call the audibles. That's probably what is a huge thing, because he can see stuff, because he's seen it before, maybe that Osweiler hasn't.
Absolutely.
So if he's out on the field, see something, he's going to make that adjustment, and I think that's why that they had just such a big, when he came in the last half there, I think that's why the running plays work so well. He must have seen something and just called it.
Isn't it weird to just listen and hear Osweiler yell Omaha? I'm like, what in the heck's going on here? He's like, Omaha! It's not Peyton Manning, so it's just weird. It'll be interesting, and I look forward to the Broncos announcement next week to who they do plan to start.
Yeah,
for the
definitely.
playoffs.
I'm
It's
excited.
exciting, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good.
Absolutely.
That's
But
the big
Peyton
thing.
Manning, the guy
Hey,
is
cool. They made a
40
good
years
choice.
old and playing in the playoffs and looking
As
to
a
go to the
quarterback,
Super
not a
Bowl.
kicker or something.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So
I mean, it's still a
definitely-
position, but
definitely an interesting week next week for the Broncos. Money Mike, did you finish all the scores for that?
Wait, hold on. I want to say
Yeah.
something. You remember last week when we were like, hey, Manning should be done?
Exactly. Yes.
Hey, he's back.
We did talk about that.
We
last
definitely
week.
said
We
that.
hope Manning
Just kidding.
retires peacefully and doesn't stretch this whole thing
Retires
out. And then
Well, you know
obviously-
what? If he just happens to
R.I.P.
play in the
Retires in
playoffs,
peace.
if he just happens to play in the playoffs, and maybe they get to, that's fine. Then he can stop after that.
Absolutely.
He's fine.
Yep, it is funny. That's why I was telling Mike. We talked about it last week. We said Manning is done. And his number gets called and he wins the game. So that's how it goes. Go ahead, Mike.
So, the Panthers, they got the win at home over Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Finished the season 15-1, just that one loss away from the perfect season.
Yeah, they lost one game and definitely had something to prove after that
They
loss.
were pissed.
Yep, exactly. Cam Newton wasn't messing around. Their defense definitely wasn't messing around. I think they only allowed 10 points to
10
Tampa
points,
Bay.
yep.
Absolutely.
I'm going to
Yeah.
run this by real quick. Mike, how many teams have finished
Put me on the
above...
spot.
No. That's because I'm going to guess you know. How many teams finished above 15-1? Do you know? Do you
In the
know?
history,
In the history.
I could not say.
Dang it. That's really...
Obviously, the Panthers and the Patriots when they went 16-0.
You probably can't.
Dolphins back in the 70s, I believe the season.
Man, I
was
forget what the
shorter. We'd
stat
have to
was.
look
I
at
think
that.
Oh,
it was...
you might be right.
I think it was,
I think it was
6 or
14,
9.
15-0.
I think it was like 6 or 9. I forget what the number was. But I was like, I bet Mike knows. I didn't want to be wrong.
Not for sure.
But I was just like, man, maybe Mike just happened to see the stat. Oh, you're good. Keep
Don't
going.
have it. Don't have it. Out in the desert in Arizona, the red hot Seahawks came to
Woo!
town and
Yikes.
took on the Arizona Cardinals, beating them 36-6.
Yeah.
San Francisco nail biter in overtime. The 49ers pull out the win over the St. Louis Rams 19-16, potentially going back to being an LA team.
Right.
The Rams.
Yep. The LA Rams.
And then keeping JT happy, the Vikings walked in to the frozen tundra of
That's
Lambeau
rad, baby.
Field and win 20-13.
Yeah.
Purple
What a
power. They
game.
like the cold. That's
What a game.
Those
The Vikings, division champions again. For the
And-
19th time, I want to say, in
Man, that
franchise
division's
history.
bad.
They're tied now?
No, they are 2 ahead of the Packers.
2 ahead.
now.
Gotcha.
Two ahead,
That's
yes,
how it
you
was.
said
That's
we
right.
They
were
were
last
1
year.
ahead.
Yes.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
double, dude.
Boom. So, big win for the Vikings, and they definitely have their work cut out for them next week with the Seahawks coming to town in Minnesota. Big thing with that is probably the weather I've seen. It's going to be below freezing, so that might be to Minnesota's
cool.
advantage.
Buckle up.
We'll wait and put a pin in that until we get to the NFC. So that was all the scores, Money Mike.
2 more.
2 more, all right.
Psych.
Take a little wind out of JT's sails. The Buffalo Bills toppled over and ruined the playoff hopes of his AFC pick, the New York Jets, 22-17
adios.
last week.
See ya.
That's right.
And
See?
finally,
Yeah.
Johnny Manziel may have or may not have played his last game in Cleveland as the Steelers come to town and beat the Browns 28-12.
The Steelers definitely had some good news Sunday when the Jets lost and they were in the lead to the Browns. I want to say the fans were going crazy, and all of a sudden Ben Roethlisberger's like, oh, we're going to the playoffs, baby. So they're in the wild card. They weren't last week, which is awesome. That's got to be a huge swing. I mean, to go into the game thinking, if we win, we might get in, and it happened. It broke down to where they needed to be, and statistically on paper, the Steelers are one of the best teams in the league. Definitely a big win for them, and I bet you they'll run pretty solid in the playoffs if they don't lose right away to the Bengals, which that's going to be a big game, and that's going to be probably the game of the week almost, at least for Saturday, obviously, as it is prime time. So big thing with the Jets losing and giving up the playoff spot. They were definitely hopeful to be in, and they just had to beat Buffalo, and disappointing for the Jets. Jets, we lost. So that's big downer for the New York Jets, and definitely a big plus for Rex Ryan. Taking out the Jets in his last game of the season for the Bills. Not his last game, but the last game of the year. He's on the Bills. He was on the Jets. Takes him out of the playoffs. That is bittersweet. Definitely. So
he circled that game on the
absolutely right. He was looking forward to it all year. That with the Patriots as well, too.
And they beat them earlier this year? The Bills beat the Jets earlier, correct?
I believe so.
Maybe.
Yep. Twice this year. Yeah, Rex
I feel
Ryan
like he was happy.
might have shot his mouth off about going to the Super Bowl, but he did have a couple victories going back against his old team and coming up with that victory, taking him out of the playoffs too. That's a big slap in the face. So shout out to Rex Ryan on that. That's the only shout out I would probably give him. But
Interesting stat that I just looked up. I was looking over to make sure that Buffalo did, in fact, beat the Jets twice this season. They beat them 22-17 both times.
Whoa!
Same game both times.
Keeping it
So,
real.
Keeping it steady there.
Definitely.
Some consistency.
Ryan Fitzmagic, like we said last week, just didn't have it done, and he
ran out of his magic
absolutely,
powers.
Does he shave now? Does he keep it?
He has to shave. Yeah.
G-string demands it.
Okay, so thanks, Money Mike, for going over the scores.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
That wraps up our Week 17, so definitely a big NFL year.
Ooh.
Lots of teams making it that you didn't think would, and lots of teams showing up to make a run for the Super Bowl. So Washington being one of those main teams, Seattle out of nowhere, the Texans. So it's going to be an exciting playoffs, and it's been an exciting year. Wrapping up the season, there's definitely a few players who are thinking about leaving the game, and maybe definitely a few coaches who are already been asked to leave the game or stepping down. Bunting, do you want to go into Tom Coughlin and the New York Giants?
I sure do. Well, so actually, the Eagles and the Giants, they played recently, but now they don't have a coach.
Hey.
Neither of them do not have a coach.
Congratulations.
Eagles,
to them.
I'll start with them. Fired Chip Kelly. See ya. Deuces. Have a good one, Chip Kelly. And then Giants, Tom Coughlin decides to resign. He thought it was the best option for the organization, so he walks away.
After 19 years, I believe, for a head coach.
That's a long time.
And he was 60 at that point, probably.
That
actually might be accurate.
really
I don't know.
60 when he started.
Right?
Yeah,
He started.
He was
now
there.
he's just old.
Definitely a guy you've seen. I mean, even if you're not a Giants fan, I mean, if
you've
over
seen
19 years, you
Yeah,
watched
you
either
have
Sunday night
Yeah,
football,
like,
Monday night
he's a
football.
coach.
Absolutely.
2 Super Bowls.
2 Super
couple
Bowls,
more
yeah.
AFC
Man gets
championships.
into it.
Upsetting the Patriots and all those things.
Mhm.
Definitely a coach who always gets criticized for how the team plays during the season, because they are never the team that goes 15-1 or anything like that. But
Yeah.
they always manage to get it done.
Right. Well, I feel like he's been on the hot seat for like the last 5 years.
Exactly.
Including their last Super Bowl win.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they won the Super Bowl, but man, we don't really like Tom Coughlin. We just don't know if he's the right coach for the Giants.
He finishes 9-7 too often.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, really.
So,
Sometimes 9 and 7's enough.
NFL
Patriots.
legend is stepping down after 19 years, which is very big for the Giants, and whoever tries to take that position has some very big shoes to fill. Yep, absolutely. So, farewell, Tom Coughlin. Thank you for the memories for the Giants that you created, you and
Yep.
Eli Manning, definitely. So,
Seen
Moving
a lot
on.
of them.
Yeah, absolutely. The Giants have won a lot of
Being a
games.
Cowboys fan, I've seen a lot of
That
them.
actually brings up a next good point.
Does it?
Mr. Jason Garrett,
Yeah.
he right now is not going anywhere.
Keeping his job.
Jerry Jones
Jerry
likes
Jones
him
says,
a lot.
yeah.
Jerry Jones, I'll do a Jerry Jones little voice here. Let me be clear here. There's no thought of replacing Jason at all.
Yep.
Jerry Jones. That wasn't good at all. I'll work on my Jerry Jones.
I feel like Mike could do a Jerry Jones.
Jerry, can you
I don't know.
Because
do a Jerry?
Can I
Right?
do with Jerry Jones?
Yeah.
not
better than
better.
mine.
So-
better than Dan.
Interesting point, as Jacob and Dan are both Cowboys fans.
America.
What do you
Man.
do in this point of the game? Last game of the year, you guys finish with the worst record that you ever have since Jerry Jones took over in 89 or 92 or something like that.
Yeah.
I think whenever he bought the team.
Yeah, exactly. The year he bought the team was the last time that the Cowboys have ever performed this poorly. What do you do? I don't think you stay friends at this point. I mean,
Well,
I think
you go ahead, Dan.
okay. So I don't think he's looking at the coaching. I think he's looking at high draft pick. Does he
Yeah.
trade something out
Yeah,
of it? 'Cause
exactly.
He's looking,
That's what I think,
I get
too.
my boy Des Bryant back, and I get Tony Romo healthy, which we put all our your eggs into that basket. And when that basket goes away, so did this current season.
Yep.
So I think he's looking at other aspects of it. A lot of things did not go the Cowboys' way this year, unfortunately. With the replacement quarterbacks,
yeah.
they went 1-11.
Yeah.
So that's
There's
not
no
good.
Good job,
question.
Matt Castle.
Yeah, absolutely. There's no question the impact that Tony Romo makes for the Cowboys. But did Jerry Jones and Jason Garrett put themselves in that situation?
I think they did.
Because they did get rid of one of the number one running backs in the league to go with.
To pick Des
Des
Bryant,
Bryant.
who then gets hurt for most of the season.
And there's no
Romo's out too. So.
there's no downside to that. And if they're right, it's the right decision overall because Des Bryant is a playmaker.
Let's say that Romo and Des Bryant didn't get hurt. I bet we're looking at different scores here. I bet we're staring at an 11-5.
But as a coach and a GM, isn't it your job to make sure in those scenarios
that they can at least win, like
Absolutely.
hold out until they come back.
Right.
Yep.
This is true.
the reason Chuck Pagano is keeping his job is because he took a team that did not have talent and continued to win games, right? Andrew
Yeah.
Luck, his kidney would look like the movie Saw if you looked at it because it
Interesting.
ruptured. So
Interesting.
he was basically dead, and they have to put in a
bad
40-year-old quarterback.
I
What
love it.
coach loves that situation? Nobody. But Pagano was a good enough coach to make sure that the matchups were there and that they could move the ball, and he would rely on their defense in the scenarios that needed to make
And
plays.
you know what? I feel like that's what happened with the Cowboys. Well, it should have happened because the defense, we had a fantastic defense that was lined up, but we didn't produce any turnovers though. Like we had, I think, a negative turnover. I'm pretty sure we had a negative turnover. I can't see why we wouldn't. But it was like we had all the right weapons, just didn't execute
So,
enough.
Another point to that, and we only drag this on because Jacob and Dan are both Cowboys
Of course.
fans. But so the
Less than we
NFL is a company and an organization that does not deal kindly with mediocrity, right? Or failure. So
You're out fast. If
you're out
mediocre.
fast, right? So there's definitely been coaches who I feel have been on the hot seat who have done a better job than Jason Garrett has done with the Cowboys, and he gets this praise from Jerry Jones that he's not going anywhere. It's just weird. It blows my mind. I mean, the Vikings have gone through 3 or 4 head coaches in the last 10 years. So if you aren't getting the results, to quote the definition of insanity, repeating the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's what the Cowboys are doing. Einstein, right? So, it's very interesting, and I would say it's a struggle for the Cowboys, and to rely so heavily on the draft. It's going to be a rocky year next year, and I mean, if Tony Romo isn't healthy, holy cow. Do they pick another quarterback to go and learn, or
I think they do.
Yeah.
I really think they do. They pick a quarterback, he learns under Romo for a couple of years, whatever, and then
Romo gets hurt, he gets to test
and
himself
yeah,
early.
Romo gets hurt, and then it's just like, well, what did you learn to go on out there?
And that's the thing. I mean, nobody can say Tony Romo's a bad quarterback. He always got criticized back in the day, but his stats were always there that showed
Yeah,
he's a good quarterback.
As long as you got more touchdowns than interceptions, I'm
But
sure that's respectable.
over the last 2 years, how many games has he played?
Not
due
enough.
to injury.
Not enough.
Not
I'll tell you
enough,
that.
right? To get the Cowboys to where they need to be.
And that's why I think the Cowboys will take like a second or third day flyer on a quarterback. Obviously, they're not going to spend their first pick on a quarterback, not that high.
Probably a running back, I would assume.
They might. I would predict they
They
trade
could-
for a quarterback before they
Yeah,
pick
that's what
one
I
early
was
in the
thinking
draft.
too.
Or we've heard reports linking Johnny Manziel. Definitely wants to play in Dallas. And
You know, he could probably
Cleveland
do
Browns.
just fine.
And I'll
for
probably
another
say now
Romo
I'll
for
get
a
a
couple
Manziel jersey
years.
then if he came, right?
He's
So
that
as
guy.
Cowboy fans, are you okay with the Manziel?
Potential regime.
Yeah,
Yeah, era.
the speculation that Johnny Manziel might play for the Cowboys.
Kind of bothers me, but
I'm okay
I
with
mean,
it.
it could be a good play
if
for the
he's
organization.
gonna-
If he's
If he's
Okay.
gonna watch Romo for a couple years, I'm
If-
okay with it. He'll learn a lot.
Well, and that would be the other thing. If the Cowboys pick up Johnny Manziel, I would assume he's going to expect to play and not sit because
Oh, he's been sitting all
he's the
this
first
year.
round pick as a quarterback. He's expecting to get paid. So not only are you going to have to pay Tony Romo, but you're going to have to pay your backup a little bit too.
right,
So
He's gonna get paid as a backup to
it's going to be
potentially
quarterback
be,
by committee.
but
the
in
next
Johnny
era.
in Johnny Manziel's eyes, is he a backup? I don't think he is. In his eyes.
In his eyes,
In the
he
NFL,
should be starting.
he probably should be on
absolutely.
the scout team.
You're right.
My eyes.
You're right.
The
You're
practice
right.
squad. But in his eyes, is he going to go to a team where it's like, we
He
still
wants to
have
play,
Tony
but he
We're gonna
also
Romo?
wants to
pay you.
get paid.
We're gonna pay you
Yeah.
as a backup, but he wants to go get paid.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where he's really.
That's a
gonna be
dilemma.
looking. But he wants to play in Dallas, is what I heard. So he might be okay with not making the big bucks.
Knowing
right
that he's
away.
going to be,
knowing that he's
He's
going
gonna
to
be the
be the
future.
future.
Exactly.
knowing that he's going to
The
be
only
with
thing I
Greg
would say about
Hardy
that
and
is the
Randall.
man scored a touchdown and made a dollar bill like sign. So I don't think he's about the game. I don't think he's about
He's about
the
money.
loyalty. He's
and
about
fame.
the money and the fame.
well, that I guess kind of drives him to win, but not the way he doesn't want
Yeah.
to win for the team. He wants to
He
win for
doesn't-
the money.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
You know, so I mean, for the guy to miss his medical examination for a concussion because he might have been in Vegas, it doesn't say that you're there. It doesn't say that you're bought in to your career. It doesn't say that you care.
And your
And-
teammates aren't going to want to play. or
Yeah,
something.
I mean,
that's
imagine. So as I told you guys earlier, Drew Brees, 5 years, gets paid $100 million. If he did any of the things that Johnny Manziel did, would he play on the Saints?
Maybe on the Saints, not for 5 years.
Not for
$100
5
million.
years.
Right.
Put up with it for 1 year, and somebody's like, "You're terrible. We're getting rid of you. We'll let somebody buy out your contract. Whatever." I don't think the Saints would stay with Drew Brees if he was the way Johnny Manziel is.
No.
So, definitely interesting and cool points with the coaching. Lots of big changes coming this year. The Niners are looking for a new coach. The Browns as well. The Giants will be filling the shoes of Tom Coughlin. And anything else? The Dolphins will be backfilling
Dolphins
with
and
their interim
Titans.
coach. Yep, and
Yeah.
then the Titans as well too. So, lots of big changes coming up with the head coaches, which a lot of the times ends up being better for the team. I think of the Dolphins as their new coach comes in, really changes things up, and they start to get a 3-game win streak, I believe, all because he does the Omaha drill or whatever when he comes
Oklahoma.
into Oklahoma drill. Thank you. Yeah, Omaha.
Some O State.
Omaha.
Yeah. So very, very cool with new coaches coming in, new blood, and new aspects of the game. You know, people who look at it differently and try new things. I think of Chip Kelly as a coach who came into the league, tried new things. It didn't work for the Eagles, but he definitely had something going. You know, I mean, their conditioning and all those things. He tried to bring the college game up to the NFL and keep these guys conditioned. And in that aspect, they would tire teams out. But then he got rid of all of his best players and
Yeah.
kind of destroyed his team. So definitely cool with getting new coaches in and new views of the game from different aspects as defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators join for the head coaching, which is cool. So let's get it kicked off after the coaches are leaving. Let's kick off into the playoffs.
Sure.
We'll start off with the AFC. The very first game on Saturday is at 3 o'clock, I believe, with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans
Yeah.
facing off against each other. We got Alex Smith against J.J. Watt, you could say.
Sure.
Is he still got that broken hand thumb thing going
I
on?
think they took his cast off for Sunday.
Okay.
Oh,
Either way, he'd
that's
play,
okay.
and he did that interview where he said,
I'm gonna play.
"I'm gonna play the same. I'm gonna play. I'm gonna play the same. I'm gonna practice the same. I'm gonna go out there and do the same thing."
I've never felt like... I feel like if I ever saw J.J. Watt, I would get out of his way. Like, that guy, he walks...
He's quick
with,
too.
Oh, my God. And
He's
he...
huge.
I love when they show him walking into the stadium and he's got his aviators on and... I mean, he looks like a douche, kind of, but he is just
Cool douche.
focused.
Yeah.
Like, and
Oh
he
yeah,
is,
no.
you
He
know,
knows what he's got to do to
He's
get the
ready to
job
go.
done.
He's going to kill somebody.
Oh yeah.
And then he puts his pads on and he does it.
Yeah.
He leads the league in sacks at 17 and a half.
Alex
Nice.
Smith.
No,
Not Alex Smith. J.J. Watt.
JJ.
No,
Watt. Alex Smith, quarterback.
that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. He should be
Quarterback.
worried.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's in trouble. He needs to
17
be
and a half
careful.
sacks. On
Wallace
paper,
coming
you could
for him.
definitely say the Texans look a little better than the Chiefs, but the Chiefs have won 10 in a row, which is crazy, right?
Ah.
So
Oh, damn.
And it'll be interesting. They're both built pretty much the same. They both have journeyman quarterbacks. They both have their star running backs injured. They both have one top receiving threat.
Yeah.
And then they play well on defense because they can rush the passer really well.
yeah,
a good
absolutely. Third in passing overall for defense for yards per game, so they definitely get a big rush, and they're 10th overall in rushing. The Texans are, so their defense speaks very highly of the Texans, and that is one reason that they are in the playoffs. You can't pass up DeAndre Hopkins on the Texans. Number 3 receiver in the league, has been one of the main targets for the Texans every week, and will continue to be going forward as he continues to get open every single week. They do match up on paper a little better, I would say. The Chiefs looking at top 10 defense in all 3 categories, yards per game, passing, and rushing, but their offense is where they do struggle. 30th for overall in passing yards.
Yeah.
27th in yards per game. So
Yep.
the Chiefs, as Mike said, have struggled with injury, so they definitely aren't getting that ball moved like they need to. They do have a number 6 rushing team, which is good. Top 10, take it, but when you're passing, it's 30th in the league. It's really hard to move that ball and rely so heavily on the rush because other teams will just load the box.
Load
So,
it. Yep.
Yep, absolutely. With Kansas City, though, you can't ever forget their defense. As we were saying, they're top 10 in all 3 categories. Marcus Peters is tied in the league for interceptions with 8, tied with the Dolphins' Reggie Nelson, I believe. So
Cincinnati
Bengals, sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Money
This
Mike's
guy.
over
Keeping
here.
us-
Just
got 'em
over
all,
here, right?
Yeah.
So definitely going to be a pretty good game. Anybody have any predictions or anything that they'd like to see or want to see on Saturday?
Well, I'm definitely going to predict that it's going to be a low-scoring affair. Definitely a defensive struggle. That seems to be pretty obvious.
An offensive struggle.
Or yes,
Yeah.
yes, struggle offensively. I know it's really, really pretty obvious to say. I think last team with the ball gets down there, takes care of business. Probably game ends on a field goal, maybe like a 2017 score.
I like it.
Right.
That'll be
I
Yeah.
like it.
chalk me up.
Chalk it up. 20-17 from Money Mike. Bunting, Stretch, do you have anything?
I like the low scoring prediction. I want to see J.J. Watt score a touchdown, either offensively
Probably
or
on the
defensively.
offense.
Yeah, I would love to see him. Maybe they mix it up against the Kansas City Chiefs, throw them a curveball, being that they have a great defense. So I'm going to predict craziness. J.J. Watt touchdown, Chiefs win by a touchdown.
So J.J. Watt scores a touchdown, but the Chiefs win?
No, Texans win. Sorry,
Oh,
I say
yeah.
the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You did.
Yep.
I was gonna say,
I
said before I wanted to
that.
say.
That's a bold prediction.
Right?
Okay, cool. JJ Watt, I like the bold prediction. I mean, they could put him at tight end. He'll go off.
They could.
Pass and
He's
catch
done.
it with one hand. So
I just realized I didn't pick a winner in my game. I gave you a score.
oh yeah,
not
you
a
did.
winner.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
I will take the Texans as well.
Okay.
Whoa.
Hoyer plays a solid game and is just enough to overcome.
So we're ending that win streak for the Chiefs of 10 in a row, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. J-String, coming to you with Kansas City versus Texas.
I'm gonna say Alex Smith gets it done. I'm gonna say he's gonna come out and do what he needs to do.
He's in the doghouse, the only guy.
You guys wait. You guys wait. Alex
Next
Smith is
week
gonna go
he's
out
gonna
there.
rape us.
Right.
He's gonna,
Oh, they call it the lone wolf. That's
Yeah.
right. He's the
The
lone
lone
wolf pick. I'll also take the Texans. I like them on paper. I really like what they've come to do at the end of the year. They started off really slow, but their defense, oh my gosh. You can't deny what J.J. Watt can do to that front line with, we were talking about Jadeveon Clowney as well, just making a huge impact for those defenses. And it shows. When you're top 10 in all those categories, you're not going to allow teams to put up points. Total points over the year, they've only had 313, all 17 weeks. Points per game, that's good for 19 a game. The Texans win
Good luck
21
throwing
points.
Alex Smith. He's
Yeah,
going to be
exactly.
rushing you to a passing team ranked 30th.
Absolutely, yes. And anytime you score 21 points and you're the Texans, you're going to win most of the time. So
Most of the time.
most
That's
of the
a
time
fact.
it
Most of
works
the time.
every time. So
most times, every time.
I like the Texans as well for the win on Saturday. I would go 27-17. The Texans. I think they'll run away with it once they start to get momentum. I think a few big defensive stops and turnovers will really help the Texans overcome the Chiefs. The 10-game win streak ends for me as well this Saturday.
That ain't no prediction. That's what it's going to be.
Yeah,
That's
that's
right.
right. It ain't no guess.
My mom says, that's what's going to be.
J-String, you got the Chiefs. Any score predictions or anything like that?
I'm going to say Chiefs. I'm going to say, listen to this now. I'm going to say
Oh, God.
21-10.
All
right.
I'm going to say Alex Smith is going to get it done, and the Chiefs defense is going to be...
I would say pick six,
You're gonna-
and if that happens, it's
Yeah.
a pick six, and that's not
Exactly.
They win.
Yeah.
I think Marcus Peters locks down DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah. I'm feeling
Silences that
good.
Offense.
The top interceptor versus the number 3 wide receiver in the league.
Mhm.
Should be an interesting matchup. Absolutely. Moving on in the AFC, we'll have Pittsburgh going up against Cincinnati
I love watching
for the
those two
prime
teams.
time game on Saturday night. Yeah, absolutely.
I'll watch it.
It's gonna
I'm gonna
be
watch
a
it.
bloodbath.
Yeah.
Basically, two teams, division teams, who basically hate each other. The last time they did play, I want to say over $70,000 worth of fines were distributed to
that's
just
right.
both teams.
It's like a Mark Cuban bottle of champagne.
Yeah, exactly. Like, there's no question that when these two teams do line up against each other, that they play really hard, which is going to make it a great game. The big thing I would say is A.J. McCarron is what they are looking to start for the Cincinnati Bengals. Marvin Lewis has talked about it. It's too quick of a transition to go. Think that Andy Dalton will start. He did get his cast off of his hand on Monday, but from what Marvin Lewis is saying, he wants to go with McCarron for the quick transition and play on Saturday. Thoughts on that? Money Mike or Dan?
I've been watching Dalton all season.
Yeah, you
I
have.
loved him. Had him on my fantasy, both teams. He was killing it, and he broke my heart in my season when he got hurt. So, Agent McCarron's got skills, super hot wife, but I don't like him in this game. Ben Roethlisberger to downtown Antonio Brown is going to be the better offense.
I like it. All right, Money Mike, what do you think about McCarron starting for
You
the
know,
Bengals?
if McCarron's going to be the one starting, you got Roll Tide. But I'm thinking Roethlisberger and his experience takes over, takes care of business.
Yeah, it's definitely
They've
no
been there
question.
before.
Absolutely, and overall experience and knowing the game, Roethlisberger is going to have a huge advantage to A.J. McCarron. The Steelers currently are fifth in points because they average 26 a game. Third in overall yardage, third in passing yards.
I like the run game too. D'Angelo's look good.
D'Angelo Williams, they are wondering if he is going to start this weekend. He did have an injury last week, sat out. So they're still questioning if he is going to play. Ben Roethlisberger was calling out Martavius Bryant a little bit, which was interesting. He said he needs to man up a little bit in his routes. So, I mean, with all that aside, I think the Steelers are a great team, and I think it's great that they actually got into the playoffs because of their stats and things like that. Ben Roethlisberger, with his injury, he missed 5 games. They lost Le'Veon Bell, who was supposed to be the next Adrian Peterson for that team. They've definitely faced that adversity, and it's worked out for them. So if they can run the table, they've been there before, you know. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger's won a Super Bowl with Jerome Bettis.
Yeah.
Mike Tomlin's definitely been there as well, too. One of the better coaches. The defensive coordinator for the Vikings. It kills me that he went to the Steelers for the head coach. So the Steelers are a team to beat, I would say, for the AFC. I think they're going to play Cincinnati really tough, and I look for them to take it away. I know I said Cincinnati was a tough team last week, and I look for them to be in the playoffs, but they really struggled with the Ravens. I don't think that they have the talent when A.J. McCarron's in. I think you can get the job done, but you need that poise. You need that.
It's something. You need that.
You need that
drive. That
experience.
Experience.
There it is.
You need
That's
the
the word.
experience of what a quarterback has had for 6 years. You know, so Teddy Bridgewater has a huge obstacle in his way because he's only a 2-year quarterback.
Situational knowledge, that instinct.
Right?
Yep.
all that
So
stuff.
I love A.J. McCarron's enthusiasm and how he considers himself to be the next Tom Brady, in that he can win a game in the fourth quarter and drive 2 minutes, just like Tom Brady would. Not too many quarterbacks would run into a press conference and say those kind of things with confidence.
And he has his brother from another mother, other AJ Green, and then Eifert, I believe, is healthy right now, right?
That's right. I was like,
So,
oh, really? He
yeah.
has a brother?
AJ
Green.
Does that have the same first name? No way.
The AJs, they hang out on the weekends.
AJs?
Definitely going to be a big, exciting primetime game if you're not doing anything Saturday night. I know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be watching the Steelers play against the Bengals
Definitely.
in Cincinnati.
You're going to be in Cincinnati?
They're going to win.
Yep.
They're going to
Yeah,
win.
absolutely, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, big game Saturday. The AFC with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Houston Texans, sorry. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Cincinnati Bengals for AFC. As we wind up with AFC, Sunday is an NFC playoff day, which is a big day for myself.
Scrub
the
division.
Vikings, the scrub division, playing the Seattle Seahawks, which...
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
It is, you know, and the Seattle
Start praying
Seahawks
now.
might be playing the best football that any team has had in the last 3 weeks.
They're going to be cold, though. They're going to be freezing.
That's right. The prediction is that it is going to be a freezing game, which I would say posted an advantage for the Minnesota Vikings.
They're Vikings.
They're used to being cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
mean, I
Now,
get it.
They pretend like they're used to being cold, but they do play in a dome most of the time. So, but they have been at this college field for the last 2 years, and they've played outside, and they're used to it.
Yeah.
I think the weather will be a huge advantage for the Vikings, as
I
they
think it
could
will.
deal with freezing conditions, snow, anything like that. They're used to that. They go to Lambeau. They play in the cold. It's not going to be anything but a mental battle with the cold for the Vikings. I like the Vikings a lot in this game because they do have to, or the Seahawks do have to beat them for a second time at home, which statistically proven, I would say, is going to be harder than beating them one time. So they do have that going for them.
Nice.
And that's going to be one of the main things that I will say. The Vikings are healthy. They were not last time they played the Seahawks. They lost 3 of their main starters, Linval Joseph, Harrison Smith, and Anthony Barr, which, if you've noticed, when they do play, make a very big impact for the Vikings. Anthony Barr, one of the top linebackers in the league right now, started off at running back. Did you know that?
Did not.
Started off as a running back playing and was moved to linebacker and becomes one of the best linebackers in the league at UCLA.
It's very switched.
Well, that's cool.
Anthony Barr, yeah. I wonder if Anthony Barr goes up and asks or tells AP what he's doing wrong since he played running back. Like, hey, man,
Oh.
I would definitely.
You're doing nothing
yeah.
wrong. You're fine.
But there's no question that the Vikings do have a very large task going up against the number one scoring defense in the league for the last 4 years, the Seattle Seahawks.
Team faced lots of injuries this year.
The Seahawks,
Lost their first 2 running backs.
Yep.
See ya.
Oh,
which
Lost
I do believe
Graham.
Are they
Marshawn
good?
Lynch is expected to play.
He
this
might play.
week.
that'd be
Yes.
nice.
Beast mode.
That
Beast
would
mode.
Beast mode.
He can go out after
Yeah,
play 2 with a abdominal issue, probably.
might stub
Who
his
knows?
toe or something.
Exactly.
So
I was here the whole
big
time.
game for the Vikings. I would love to say that they're going to take off with this and run to the Super Bowl, and that is going to be my bold prediction: is the Vikings are going to win, and they're going to run the table, and they're going to get it done.
It's a bold, biased prediction.
That is a bold, biased prediction, and I'm going to take that with the Steelers as well for my bold prediction. The AFC and the NFC teams that will win the Super Bowl or go to the Super Bowl are the Steelers and the Vikings.
Oh, that is
Hot damn.
quite bold,
Call the
sir.
police and the fire.
Quite bold.
Teddy Bridgewater, second-year quarterback, will go to his Super Bowl this year.
And then he's gonna lose.
Hey, if he goes to the Super Bowl, at least I can say I lived to see it.
Sorry, Teddy.
Anything with the Vikings and Seattle game that you guys noticed or would like to go over?
Well, definitely an advantage for the Vikings. They will not have to play around the 12th man, around
That's
the Hawks'
right.
nest
Absolutely.
out there. So
That is a victory all in its own. Absolutely. Is
for sure,
not dealing with
Bridgewater
the
will be
crowd.
able to
Yeah.
hear what he's doing out there on the field.
Yep, absolutely. They lost 38-7 last time they played. What do the Vikings do to overcome that this week going into the game on Sunday?
Well, that's definitely going to be a tough one.
Mike's
Yeah.
speechless.
Yeah,
I
It's
don't
hard
think
to
you do,
overcome.
is what
Speechless in
Mike's saying.
Seattle
I think Teddy needs to play smart.
Teddy does need to play smart, and he does.
most of the time.
You know, Teddy plays so smart that he only threw for less than 100 yards last game. Now, if you went up to Mike McCarthy and said, hey, Mike McCarthy, you're going to play the Vikings at home, and their quarterback's going to throw for less than 100 yards. AP's going to run for less than 70, and the top receiver's going to have maybe 3 catches for less than 40 yards. But hey, guess what? You're going to lose. I think
And
Mark McCarthy would say,
He laughs in his face.
bullshit. There's no way we're going to lose this game. But they did. And so, if the Vikings can make those plays, like you said, and play smart, they can win. They can win games. They are a controlling team as far as clock management. They're a team, if they have the lead, control the clock, control the play, and rely on all day AP and keep that clock running and keep that lead. If they can do that against the Seahawks, they can run. So,
AP's been great.
AP
Yeah.
has been great. Rushing title this year for the 3rd time. He had the title basically before the game even started on Sunday. Doug Martin was 64 yards behind him and was held to 35, I believe, against the Carolina Panthers. So AP was the sole rushing leader before the game even started Sunday and had around 70 yards to add to that. So rushing title for AP, his 3rd. Age is no factor for this man as he is
He does
30
not
years
age.
of age, yes. And he only gets better, which is great. So
He's a
when he's
fine
40, he's going to be awesome. No. So very good for AP. Congratulations to him for winning the rushing title
Yeah.
after missing the whole season and overcoming those boundaries that people said that he wouldn't be able to do it because of his age and all those things. So big shout out to him as a Vikings fan and myself. Division champions against the Packers. Very good game on Sunday. We can talk about the Seahawks with Russell Wilson being one of the top quarterbacks for the NFL or NFC, especially when it comes down to getting it done
Yep.
in those clutch situations.
Which he does.
Yep, absolutely.
Often.
Top 3, top 4 quarterback.
Absolutely. I would say, you know,
Cam,
Top 3, top
Brady,
4.
Tom. Or Cam
Maybe
Newton, Tom Brady.
I would give him top 10 at least.
For
Just
sure.
to
I'm gonna say
say
top 5.
Top 5.
I'm gonna say
Maybe
Maybe
stretching a
rounding
little.
out.
I would say. I was gonna say. I like Russell
Can you
Wilson.
name any more quarterbacks? It's like we have to name 10 for him to be at 10. So
Oh yeah, that's easy. But
yeah.
there's no question that the guy can make plays. There's no question that he can throw a good ball, and there's no question that he's not smart. So definitely one of the top 10 quarterbacks, top 5, and stretch his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be the main guy who determines if the Seahawks dominate the Vikings on offense.
yeah,
He's gonna use his boy Dougie Baldwin.
That's right. And there's no question that the Seahawks can play D, so nobody questions that part. It's if the Seahawks offense shows up like it can. And if it did last week, the Vikings are going to be in big, big trouble.
So is your heart.
I think, yeah. I don't think I've seen a quarterback thread the needle like Russell Wilson did last week.
Oh,
And
yeah.
just-
Former baseball
oh
player.
my gosh,
Got a
man. The
great
guy
arm.
can just rifle it and put it right where he wants it.
Yep.
It's crazy. I mean, receivers come to the sideline and it's like, Russell Wilson just put that ball right where it needed to be. Like, only he could have made that throw right there. So there's no question. I love his Bose commercial with Macklemore. And
Fantastic.
everything like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This
Love
is
it.
Russell Wilson air. Going to be a good game. It is the first game of the NFC playoffs, followed by the
Yeah.
Packers and Redskins.
Yeah.
Going into that, we'll actually follow up or wrap up the Vikings and Seahawks with quick predictions, win losses here.
Oh yeah.
Money Mike,
All right.
he's
I'm
going to
gonna
break
have
my
to be-
heart. and go
I'm going to
with
have to be the
Seahawks.
first to break JT's heart, and I will go with the Seahawks. I think they're too red hot right now. Bridgewater, I'm sorry, JT. He's a young man. This will be his first year for some experience and build on it for next year. I just think Seahawks get it done, keep it rolling.
Any
like
score
they have
predictions over there?
This one's a tough one with the Seahawks offense being so inconsistent. I tend to go lower scores. I'm going to go with a 24-17 favor of the Seahawks.
I like it.
Very
All
nice,
right.
very nice.
I mean, I
Chase,
respect it.
Jay String.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking the Seahawks. They know what they're doing in the playoffs. They're going to put up some impressive numbers. I think they're going to show up. I think the score is going to be somewhere in the 30s. I'm going to say 35-14.
Wow, blowout for the Seahawks. I'm gonna run a low score and say 20-10 for the Vikings. Won't score a lot, but if they keep the Seahawks up against the wall and keep them 3 and out like they did the Packers, they can win. Moving on, everybody got their predictions.
Sure
We got
don't.
to move
Oh,
over.
sorry.
Moving on
Oh,
to Dan
Nice
Bunting.
try. My heart will go on, and like yours, you're like Leo going to the bottom of the ocean. So I'm gonna pick Seahawks.
Yeah.
Duh. But I'm gonna go reversal JT. I'm gonna do a 10-point difference, 30-20 Seahawks.
Nice.
We don't have high numbers, but Vikings will get some points. Just they're not gonna do.
They'll get enough to hang their
Garbage
heads
time
high
scoring
and
or what?
walk away.
Yep.
Maybe.
So again, after the Seahawks and Vikings games, we move to the Packers and Redskins for the last game of the week, Sunday at 3 o'clock.
Boring.
Boring. We got Kirk Cousins going up against Aaron Rodgers. Big matchup for the Packers, the wild card playoff game for the Packers. What's going to happen, Money Mike?
Ah, man. This one. Oof. Ugh. Them Redskins. I don't know. The Packers, they haven't looked good at all the last few weeks. And then the Redskins, who knows which Kirk Cousins will show up. The one who's confident, asking you if you like that. They're passing out, do you like that towels I heard in Washington for the game on Sunday?
I'd have one of those.
Oh, man. I tell you what, the Redskins play good defense, and since the Packers have been struggling offensively the last few weeks, I think it's going to be a really low scoring, maybe even a little bit ugly of a playoff game. I'm going to go with 17-10 in favor of the Redskins, actually,
Whoa.
this time.
There you
I
go.
will give them the win, And yes, I will like that.
You like that? Yeah. All right, Stretch. What do you think? Washington versus Green Bay.
Man, I have hardly any interest in either of these teams, but man, if the Packers have been inconsistent as they have been the last couple of weeks, like Mike said, I'm also going to go Redskins. I'm going to give them a little more points. I'm going to say 24-17. Redskins by a TD.
Nice. J-String.
Do you know who does not have bad stats? Like, on paper, Kirk Cousins. So I'm going to say that Washington is going to show up to win. I'm going to give them a score. It's going to be like 24-17. I'm going to say it gets kept really real.
Yeah, that's a good score.
Well, yeah, definitely. We will be unanimous on this decision here, as we will all take the Redskins, but I'll tell you why I like the Redskins versus the Packers. The offensive line for the Packers have been the make or break for these guys the last few weeks. They aren't keeping Aaron Rodgers protected, and as I said last week, which I love to pat myself on the back and say the Vikings will be successful if they play press man coverage and get Aaron Rodgers uncomfortable. That's exactly what they did, and that's exactly why they were successful. With an offensive line that is all backups, you're not going to have the protection that he needs. So he relies heavily on getting out of the pocket to stretch out those plays, which so many teams recognize now at this point. Okay, so that'd be one big thing. Plus the Packers are just, you can't trust them like you could. You know, they're not the pack. You know, I hate the Packers so much, but I don't worry about them this much because they've been beat by the Lions. They've lost games that they shouldn't, and it's just like they're not the team that they should be. And it's unfortunately comes down a lot to that offensive line, the unsung heroes of all football teams, but they are not trustworthy like they were last year. They are not the Packers that moved the ball the way they did last year. Like we talked about Jordy Nelson being such a huge contributing factor to that offense, and now it's gone. It's just not happening. So
And Randall Cobb hasn't stepped up as a true number one. He's obviously a number two, depending on a bigger target.
and we talked about their running game too. So who starts for the Packers this weekend? Eddie Lacy or James Starks? Both are playmakers when they want to be, it seems. But
they root for each other too.
yeah, I mean they're great running backs, and being a fan of Eddie Lacy as a fantasy football player for my first round pick of the year, I have watched this guy not perform all year long, and it showed on the Packers. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been able to put up the numbers because Eddie Lacy isn't putting up those numbers. And when they put in James Starks to try to back up that, it works for a little while, but he's not that running back that Eddie Lacy is. Eddie Lacy's that big bruiser running back. James Starks the finesse, get open in space running back. They need him back. They need that wind and grind, run up the middle, break it open so Aaron Rodgers can do his thing. And it's just not happening anymore. I like the Redskins as well, if you couldn't tell by that.
In conclusion, you like Redskins.
The score. They put up 13 points against the Vikings. I don't think the Redskins' defense is as strong as the Vikings is. I look for the Redskins to win 27-17. 10 points. They'll take off. They'll be enough, and they'll hold off Aaron Rodgers for the win. Which, as a Vikings fan, makes me happy that the Vikings won the division championship and played just as well as the Packers all year long. So it'll be interesting to see what the Packers do in the offseason to really, I say it as if they lost already, but to rebuild that team and get that trustworthy Packers team back that is no more. So Mike McCarthy has a little job ahead of him going forward, but definitely a big game, the Redskins versus the Packers Sunday at 3 o'clock. Anything else from you guys going forward? We'll cover the playoff games next week, as well as we'll introduce the Denver Broncos coming off of their bye with the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers
Yes.
and the
New England.
New England Patriots. Thank you, as the AFC. So for the first week bye is the Patriots, the
Broncos,
Panthers,
and the Cardinals.
Panthers and the Cardinals.
Yep.
We'll all be in session next week. We'll have a better lineup for you after this week, bringing you the results of the playoffs for the first round. Should be very interesting. quick shout out to any of our sponsors, JohnnyRageLifeFamily.com, giving us a huge shout out. Check him out on Facebook. He had a big show on New Year's Eve, was the headliner at Val Air Ballroom. He does a lot of trap music and dubstep. Very popular DJ in Iowa, so give him a like on Facebook. Give us a like on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. FantasyLunchBunch.com is our YouTube.
Yep.
Facebook page as well. And we are on Twitter.
Twitter also.
Yep. Give us a follow.
Twitch
Alright.
too.
Twitch.
Twitch.tv.
Twitch.tv.
/Fantasy Lunch Bunch. So that will be up in the future. Nothing posted yet, but look for those streams.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for listening. We will be with you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Catch you later.
Totally.
Bye.